Hello students, welcome to Talk on Civil Engineering. Let us discuss about vertical curves. So usually these vertical curves are of two types. One is summit curve and another one is valley curve. Okay. So summit curve, in the sense, summit curve, you have convex on top, so something like this. Okay. So you will have convex on top. In valley curves, you will have concave. On top, you will have concave. Okay. So this is the basic shape of summit curve and valley curve. So usually the summit curve will be, you'll get summit curve whenever the upward gradient, so like upward gradient will meet a downward gradient. So this is the upward gradient, this is a downward gradient. Okay. Whereas in valley curve, so when a downward gradient meets an upward gradient, so this is a downward gradient and this is a upward gradient. Okay, meets a upward gradient, you'll get a valley curve, right? So this is a basic of summit curve and a valley curve. And coming to the suitable shape for a summit curve, the suitable shape is square parabola. And coming to valley curve, the suitable shape is cubic parabola. So these shapes also sometimes they will ask you in competitive exams. So for summit curve, the square parabola is a suitable shape, and for valley curve, cubic parabola is a suitable shape. Okay. And coming, let us see how this summit curve and valley curve will be there, how it looks like. So as I told you, in a summit curve, upward gradient will meet a downward gradient. Okay. So this is the upward gradient is represented with plus n and downward gradient with minus n. Okay. And this is called the deviation angle. Okay. So deviation angle or difference in gradient. Sometimes deviation and angle anochu, lepothe difference in gradient ani kuda antam, right? So this deviation in angle is, this n is the absolute difference of both the gradients. Okay. So this is the absolute difference of upward and downward gradient. Okay. So how we can write that? Absolute difference means we'll write some mathematically, we'll write like this, right? Plus n minus of minus n, right? So minus it will be plus, minus into minus it will be plus. So plus n plus n. Okay. So simply you can add if you add both, you can simply add this both. Okay, if upward gradient is meeting downward gradient, you can simply add both the gradients, you will get the deviation angle or the difference in gradient. Okay. Similarly for a valley curve, so this is the deviation or difference in angle, and this will be minus n and this is plus n, right? So what is absolute, what is the n value? N is equal to minus n minus of plus n. Okay. So it will be minus n minus n. So minus you can take outside. So it will be n plus n. Okay. So minus in absolute, you will neglect this minus. So it will be n plus n. Okay. So even it is valley curve or summit curve, if the downward gradient is meeting the upward gradient or upward gradient meeting downward gradient, So the n value or difference in gradient or deviation angle will be same, n plus n. Okay, so you can simply add the both the gradients. These value changes only when something like this, upward gradient is meeting a higher upward gradient, another upward gradient like this. So if there is something like this, so this is plus n and this is also plus n. Okay, so in this case the n value will changes, n is equal to plus n minus of plus n, right? So it will be n minus n. Okay, so based on the given condition, this deviation angle will changes. Okay, so this is a basic concept of vertical curves, the summit curve and the valley curve. Thank you all.